Welcome to Kahani Bar, a cocktail of stories in English and Hindustani. I am Malika, and today's story is The Ride After Midnight by Neerja K. Chandni Chowk is never truly empty. Even after the shutters fall and the last tea stall douses its coals, the old road keeps its memories. And if you listen closely, you may hear the sound of reels that no longer belong to this world. But to understand that sound, you must go back to the year 1857. Delhi was burning. The uprising had turned streets into battlefields. The British were regrouping or hiding wherever they could. Among them was a coachman named Edward Briggs. He was, I think, the only British coachman since his job was to carry important and confidential documents between Red Fort and civil lines. The British could not trust any Indian for that. He had driven that same road for years, through the bazaars, past the Havelis, over the moonlit cobblestones of Chandni Chowk. That road was his life. He drove like a royalty. Everyone feared him. And that gave him a high, though he held no important position in the government. But general public did not know that. So he behaved like a Gora Sahib with them. On one violent night, he was ordered to carry urgent messages across the city. The streets were already in revolt. Some say the carriage was attacked. Some say the horses panicked at gunfire. Others say the crowd overturned the coach in the darkness. What is certain is this: the carriage was found at dawn, broken, empty. The horses lay dead. And Edward Briggs? His body was lost among many others, so was never properly buried. No grave, no prayer, no farewell. And perhaps that is why he never stopped driving. Years passed, empires changed, motors replaced horses, but the story stayed. Watchmen spoke of a carriage rolling past after midnight. Tangewala heard wheels where no carriage stood. And sometimes, very rarely, someone was offered a ride.
Raghav was walking home late that night.
His uncle's house stood beyond the Red Fort Road, down a quiet lane where even cycle rickshaws refused to go after midnight. He had just crossed the darker stretch of Chandni Chowk when he heard it. A carriage rolled up beside him. It was black, old-fashioned, its brass lamps glowing softly. At the reins sat a pale, stiff man in an old, tattered European coat. A Firangi driver, thought Raghav. Well, old Delhi never ceases to surprise you. The man didn't speak. He only gave a slow, silent nod, inviting him on board. Raghav hesitated and then climbed in. The seat inside was strangely cold. The carriage began to move. They rolled past shuttered jewelry shops, silent sweet stalls, and sleeping Havelis. The night seemed thicker inside the carriage, as if the world outside had sunk into a dream. Raghav cleared his throat. "Civil lines, please," he said. The driver didn't answer. Only the wheels spoke. Something felt wrong. There was no sway, no jolt, and no click of hooves on stone. The carriage glided like a shadow. Outside, the streets looked too still, too clean, as if there was a tear in the time itself, and they were traveling through a bygone era. Then the carriage slowed. The driver lifted his whip and pointed ahead. Raghav looked up. His uncle's gate stood right there, so fast. And how did this Firang driver know where my uncle lived? Wondered Raghav. Relieved, he stepped down. "Thank you," he said, turning toward the driver to pay him. But the carriage was already gone. Phew! As if it had melted in the thin air. Raghav feverishly knocked at the door. His uncle opened the door almost immediately, face pale. "Where have you come from at this hour?" he whispered. "From Chandni Chowk," Raghav said. "I got a ride." "A ride?" his uncle repeated. "Who gave you a ride?" "Some Firang driver gave me a ride in his coach. Strange fellow he was, didn't even wait for the money." The uncle's hand trembled as he lifted the lamp. He quickly pulled him inside and looked him with strange, vacant eyes. "Beta," he said slowly, "no Firang carriage has run here since 1857, and no coachman since the uprising." Raghav felt a chill crawl up his spine. Then his uncle asked very quietly, "Did you hear the horses?" Raghav opened his mouth and froze. He hadn't. No hooves, no breath, no snorting, only wheels. They stepped outside together. The lane was empty. No tracks, no sound. Only a faint, damp line across the stones, as if wheels had passed without ever touching the ground. And even today, the old people say, if you're walking alone in Chandni Chowk after midnight and a carriage stops beside you, think twice before climbing in, because some drivers are only finishing their last journey. This is Malika signing off. Keep listening to stories on Kahani Bar. If you enjoy our narrations, please follow, share, and leave a review. It helps us bring more stories to life. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep listening. Take care.